to those who are the called, according to his purposes. I had a Christian quote that verse to me one day, and he said to me, well, you know, God works all things for good to those who love him, who are the called according to his purposes. I said, yeah, but not everybody loves him, and not everybody is the called according to his purposes. A lot of people have their own purposes, their own agenda. They're a Christian because of this reason. They're a minister because of that reason. But they're no longer in his purposes and according to his will. And all things work to good for them who love him that way. But for others, everything doesn't work out all the time. And it doesn't work out for good. Not everything works out, of course, but somehow God redeems hard times. He redeems evil situations. How? By the Holy Spirit taking what's been infused inside of you, bringing it under that fire. Beloved, Peter says, I know I'm throwing some verses that are not up here, don't worry about it. Beloved, Peter says, don't be surprised at the fiery trial of your faith, as if some strange thing happened to you. Well, I thought when I was a Christian, everything was going to be okay. What are you, stupid? Who sold you that line? Somebody who wrote a how-to book filled with facts and figures and formulas. And if you say this and say that, everything will be all right. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Peter says, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to go through some trouble. And don't be surprised when it happens, because God is purifying your faith. Your faith is much more precious than gold and silver that are purified through fire. So don't be surprised when you go through the fire, because that's the only way that the Holy Spirit can percolate what's inside of you up into your consciousness. Then you can live it. Then you can walk it. How did Jesus learn? I'm sure he learned in a natural way, the same way other children learn too. If he had to go to Hebrew school and he had to learn some things, he had to give them the facts and the figures and memorize the formulas. But Jesus learned a little differently. Let's go into Luke chapter 2. The process of impartation worked in Jesus' life. The process of listening to the Father. The process of waiting and watching at his dates every day. In Luke chapter 2, verse 49, it says, after Jesus was found by his parents in the temple, he said, why were you looking for me? He was 12 years old, just like Katie. Katie, sometimes you might have to say to your mother, what are you looking for me for? Don't you know I'm 12 years old? He said, why are you looking for me? Did you not know I must be in my Father's house? Doing what? Listening, watching, waiting at the door. Why? Because he's going to speak to me. He's going to infuse me with his Spirit. He's going to impart to me spiritual truth. It's better than money. It's better than gold and silver. It's better than gifts of all these different types. It's more valuable than that. He's going to cause me to inherit substance. I find him, I find life. And when I find that, I find favor. And this is what it says. And they did not understand what Jesus said to them. And he went down with them and came back to Nazareth and was submissive to them. Katie, that's the other part. When you say to Mom, what are you looking for me, Mom? She said, because I'm your mother, get over here. And that's it. The argument's over. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. Why? Because he was in his Father's house. Because no matter where he was in his Father's house. Because he was waiting and watching daily, listening for the voice of the Father. Spiritual truth percolates up inside of us because the Holy Spirit is living inside of us.